In this video, I'll be showing you what's on my Wii U currently. Currently, I have everything on the first page of my Wii U. As you can see, all my retail/digital games are not in a folder, whereas the eShop indie games and all my retro games are in a folder. That's just because I play a lot of my physical/retail games more than my indie games and more than my retro games, and it's just more easier to find all my physical/retail games. That's the reason I keep them out of a folder. And second of all, the other two apps I have sitting outside of a folder is the disc channel. Now, I don't currently own any physical discs for the Wii U, but the reason I have it sitting out of a folder is because you cannot physically put the disc channel into a folder. It has to be out at all times, so that's the only reason it's sitting out. And the next one I currently have sitting out is the system settings. The reason I have system settings out is because I actually move my Wii U around to other people's houses. I'm always taking it to my friend's house. And that means I always have to change the resolution sometimes, believe it or not. And I also have to change the Wi-Fi every single time I go to another person's house, just because, of course, the Wi-Fi is going to be different. So I just keep that out just because I'm moving my Wii U around a lot, 99% of the times. I probably move my Wii U about once a week, to be honest. And the first game I have is Mario Kart 8. Now, Mario Kart 8 is one of the best racing games this generation, I must say. It is a gorgeous game. It runs at a smooth 1080p, 60 FPS. It is just an awesome racing game. Now, I really have no complaints about Mario Kart 8. It is a very good racing game. The only small complaint about the game is battle mode. Everyone knows battle mode in Mario Kart 8 is broken, just because instead of battling in arenas like you would normally do in like other Mario Kart games, you're actually battling on the actual racetracks that you race on, and that just becomes repetitive and boring just because it's so hard to find a person on a big open racetrack that it becomes really boring. Other than that, it's a really great game. They also released DLC for this game, and I must say the DLC is a very great buy for Mario Kart 8. I would probably have to say that it is some of the best DLC I've ever seen just in terms of price. It's like $11 or $12 for 16 new tracks, 8 new vehicles, and like 8 new racers too, so it's one heck of a deal. If you don't own Mario Kart 8, which I'm assuming most people do if they own a Wii U, you should definitely buy the DLC. That's the highlight of Mario Kart 8. The DLC was just a great buy. The next game I own is Splatoon. Now, I have some things to talk about Splatoon. Now, Splatoon, if you don't know what Splatoon is, it's essentially for the hardcore gamers, or at least Nintendo tried to compete with the hardcore gamers. It's a third-person shooting game, kind of like Gears of War or kind of like Uncharted, but they also basically tried to compete with the other shooters out on the market like Call of Duty or Halo. Now, the only thing I have to say about Splatoon is I don't personally, in my opinion, think it's worth a $60 buy, in my opinion, and I'm going to tell you why. The main reason I don't think Splatoon's worth a $60 buy is because there's not a lot of game modes in the game. You got a couple different game modes, and that's pretty much it. And one of the weakest points about Splatoon is, of course, the single player content. The single player content is about 4 to 5 hours. It's kind of boring and dull, but the main reason you're picking this up is for multiplayer. One thing I wish Nintendo would have made for Splatoon, I wish they would have made a 2-player co-op if you're playing on the same system. Maybe you can take your buddy online with you if he's sitting in the same room with you, 2-player co-op, but I don't know why Nintendo didn't do that. Another problem with the game is that you only get 2 maps per every 4 hours, and they rotate them, so you don't get to see all the maps every time you play. It doesn't rotate all the maps. You only get 2 maps per 4 hours, or 2 maps per 2 hours. I can't remember how long it takes for them to circulate the rotation, but there is a rotation, and the limit is 2. I think for 2 hours. It's very limited, so that's another reason. One great thing about Splatoon, though, on the highlight is it is a fun game. I'm not going to lie. It is a very fun game. and every single piece of gear, every piece of weaponry, and every map the game has to offer is free content. So when you buy the game, you get everything the game has to offer for free. There is no DLC for this game whatsoever. That is really the highlight of this game for most people, even for me. I am very thankful and glad Nintendo made all the DLC free for everyone on this game. Realistically, for me, I really didn't get into Splatoon as much as I thought. When I first saw this game at E3, to be honest, I was blown away at this new IP. I do give them credit, however, for making a new IP, which they rarely ever make a new IP. And this one was a fantastic idea. Just for me, I just really couldn't get into it. But if I was going to put a price tag on this game, I would easily put $45. Probably the highest I would pay would be $50 for this game, but I do think it's a worthy purchase. Just not $60 for me. You should definitely go ahead and give this game a look at. Another downside I did forget to mention about Splatoon is Splatoon only works with the Wii U gamepad, so you will have to use the Wii U gamepad if you want to play the game. That's another downside of this game. You do have to use the Wii U gamepad. Moving on to Super Smash Brothers. Now, Super Smash Brothers is a long-time series of Nintendo. It's a fighting game, and I must say, out of all of my multiplayer games on Wii U, I probably put about the most hours into Super Smash Brothers, just because I am a competitive Smash Brothers player, and I am pretty decent at the game, I would have to say. So that's one reason I put the most amount of hours in this game. And this game, if you've never played it, is not like your traditional fighting game where you have a health bar and you try to hit them where their health just keeps lowering and lowering. Basically, you're in an open arena, and every time you hit somebody, their percentage bar goes up at the bottom of the screen, and once you get to a high enough percentage, you can actually knock them out of the ring. So the higher percentage, the more farther the character will fly, and once you get to a high enough percentage, they'll just fly off the screen and you'll knock them off, which is very awesome. That's the one reason I do like the way Smash Brothers play, just because it's easy to get into. You don't have to know button combos and things like that, which really frustrate me with like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, things like that. It's just so easy for anyone to get into. Would I really say this is a button masher? No, it's not a button masher if you play it competitively like I do. But overall, I would say this game is definitely worth $60 out of any of the Nintendo games, just because they did add the trophies and there's a lot of modes, especially if you're a Nintendo fan and you want to know more about Nintendo's history, or if you want to know more about Nintendo's characters. I would definitely pick this up. Just by unlocking the trophies, you will be learning a lot about Nintendo's characters and history and things like that. There's over 1,000 different trophies you can unlock, which is awesome. So you are learning a lot of Nintendo history with this game. And this game is the only game on Wii U or any console, I do believe, that you can play 8 players on the same system. The way that works is, it does work with Wii U Pro Controller, it does work with the gamepad, the Wiimote nunchuck. It works with basically everything. But the reason they were able to get 8 players on one game is because they actually allow you to use the 3DS system as a controller, which is insane. Using the 3DS as a controller, which is insane. The next game I have is Super Mario 3D World. Now, I just recently played this in the last 1 to 2 days of the date of this posting, and I must say this might be my favorite 3D platformer of Super Mario. I really do love 3D World. It's one of the gorgeous Mario games to date. It's just an amazing game. I love the level design and everything like that. And you can also play with up to 4 friends if you have friends. In this game, you also switch characters. You can play as Mario, Peach, Toad, or Luigi. And it's just an overall a very nice experience. It's basically Super Mario 3D Land, which is on the 3DS, blown up, and it takes that takes those mechanics and makes them much more awesome. I will say I love this game, and it's one of my favorite games to date on the Wii U. In fact, I really do love this game for what it is. Now, the next game I have is New Super Mario Bros. U. Now, the only reason I own Super Mario Bros. U is because, of course, if you know, they were doing a promotion when Mario Kart 8 came out, and you were able to get one free first-party Nintendo game when you bought Mario Kart 8, which was very, very awesome. I think the choices were a Wind Waker, New Super Mario Bros. U, Wii U Party, and Pikmin 3, and I went with New Super Mario Bros. U. Now, it is in HD and everything, but honestly, if you already played some of the older New Super Mario Bros. Game, like New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, New Super Mario Bros. DS, any of the older ones, then there's really not much here that makes it a worthy purchase, to be honest. I would only buy this game if you don't have nothing to play on your Wii U, or if you're bored, or if you can get this game cheap, because it's not different than the other ones, really. I will say this series has become to be kind of dull and boring, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, this is an amazing game on its own. It's just that since they produce so many of these games, there's nothing new about this game. Yes, it's in HD, and you can play 4-player co-op like the Wii one, but there's nothing really there that adds to the experience. One thing about this game is you can get DLC on this game, which allow you to actually play New Super Luigi U, which is kind of the same thing, but you're speed running every level, which is awesome. Overall, this game is okay, but I wouldn't pay full price or anything for this game, but it's still a great Wii U game. Nevertheless, I would actually put 3D World, of course, over this game, but that's pretty obvious. The next game I own is Wind Waker HD. Now, I'm not really much of a Zelda fan, to be honest. I know it's hard to say that since I am a Nintendo fan. What a shocker. But I'm really not into the Zelda games. The one Zelda game I did get into was The Link Between Worlds, and that's on 3DS. That game was just amazing for me, and I did play the game and played it all the way through to the end, and that I love that game. But for some reason, I really couldn't get into the Wind Waker HD. I know a lot of people like this game and love it. It's basically a remake of the GameCube version, just in HD, and I think they changed some of the mechanics to make it a little bit more playable and more funner. The reason I own it is because I did get the Zelda Wii U bundle, and it came with Wind Waker HD free, and the reason is because the gamepad actually has some Zelda fonts on it, and plus it was a free game at the time. But anyway, there's The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. The next game I own is Lego Batman 2. Now, Lego Batman 2 is a fun beat-em-up game if you ever played any of the Lego games. I put probably 10 to 15 hours in this game. It is also a co-op game, which is awesome. Overall, I would say it is a very fun game. Now, I've never played Lego Batman 3, so I really can't tell you the differences between 2 and 3. But overall, if you love Lego games, or if you have kids, then definitely check out Lego Batman 2. Lego Batman 2 is just a fun game overall. Now, the next game I have is Rayman Legends. I would say in terms of platformers, or in terms of just flat out games on the Wii U, this is one of the best games on the Wii U. I would put it second to 3D World, and that's just because this game looks amazing on the Wii U. And I know this is not a Wii U exclusive or a Nintendo exclusive, but the reason this is one of the best games on the system is because it does use the touchscreen controls, which the only other system that uses the touchscreen controls on Rayman Legends is the Vita version. But overall, this is going to be the definitive version of this game. If you're trying to buy it on like PS4, Xbox One, things like that, if you own a Wii U, I would definitely buy it on Wii U. This game is just one of the best 2D platformers on the Wii U. I would even say it's better than New Super Mario Bros. U. Definitely check this game out. You can usually find this for about $15 to $20 though, which is one steal for this game, because this game is just so fun. The next game I own is Scribblenauts Unlimited. Now, Scribblenauts Unlimited is a puzzle game where you try to help people solve like puzzles in the game. It is a very fun game, but honestly, I would not pick it up on the Wii U. I would honestly pick it up on the 3DS. just because the puzzles are simple and short most of the time, and it is better in a handheld form just because you can play a couple of puzzles, put it down, play a couple of puzzles, put it down. Whereas here, since it's on a console, you don't really want to, turn it off and on a lot, and it's just more easier, and you have it on the go. I would recommend that one. But to see this game in HD is just amazing. One thing I will say about the game is the touchscreen, the gamepad, and the actual screen that you're watching, like on your TV, it's kind of no point because it kind of just mirrors what you're watching on the TV and what you're watching on the gamepad. So this game is kind of one of those games where you really don't need the TV on to play this game unless you have standby watchers in your room, like your friends or your family watching you play the game. But there's really no reason to turn on the TV to play this game. Now, moving to the bottom, of course, I have system settings. I already talked about that. And then, yes, I have a folder called Junk on my Wii U. And that's basically all the apps that came in the Wii U. And as you've seen, I do have Netflix and YouTube on the side. Now, I am a big user of Netflix and YouTube. The reason they're pushed on the side, because I really don't use them on the Wii U. Let me just go ahead and move these over to make this a little bit cleaner. But honestly, I really don't go into this folder. As you can see, they're just things that I don't use. So that's why I put them in a junk folder. Now, the next one is eShop. And these are all the Nintendo exclusive indie games that are on the Wii U that you can only find on the Wii U, or they're on the eShop. You can only find them on the eShop. You can't buy them in a retail store. So I have a NES Remix and NES Remix 2. Now, if you don't know what NES Remix and NES Remix 2 are, they're basically WarioWare games. They're kind of like little challenges made for Nintendo games. Like, you'll have Mario, and he'll say, like, please defeat 15 enemies, and you have to do it as fast as you can. Or you'll have, like, Donkey Kong, and he'll say, please defeat Donkey Kong in a certain amount of time. Or jump over all the barrels in Donkey Kong. So it is a kind of a fun game. They're $15 a piece. It depends if you're really into this stuff. I would say they are kind of expensive for $15. Maybe for $7 or $8 it would be more appealing, but they're just kind of expensive in my opinion. If you're going to pick one of these games, I would definitely go with NES Remix 2. That's solely because NES Remix 2, you do have a Super Luigi. They do give you a full game inside of a game. So you get NES Remix 2 and you get the Luigi game. I don't know what it's called because I haven't played it in a while. But you get 2 games for the price of 1. And the challenges are going to be better in a NES Remix 2. Solely for the fact that you'll have Mario like in a Link's world, or you'll have a Metroid in like Kirby's world. That's the reason NES Remix 2 is better, because they really amped up the challenges and they're a lot cooler in 2 than 1. I would definitely get 2 over 1 in my opinion. The next game I have is Shovel Knight. As you know by now, Shovel Knight is a growing brand and a growing game. It is an awesome retro platformer, 2D platformer. If you've never played it and you like Mega Man, Mario, Link, Zelda, things like that, then you're really gonna love Shovel Knight. It's also on PS4, Xbox One, 3DS, Vita, so it's not a Wii U exclusive or even a Nintendo exclusive anymore, but it is a very good platformer. I would highly recommend it. It's probably one of the best $15 or best indie games I have ever bought in a long time. The game is just flat out amazing. And then moving on to my last folder, I do have retro games. Here's all the old Nintendo games I have bought or purchased from the eShop. I do actually open this up from time to time, but not rarely. That's why I have it in there. And I don't know why Guacamelee's in here. It's supposed to be in my other folder. I'll just go ahead and move that right now actually. But there's Guacamelee. Before I move on to my retro games, let me talk a little bit about Guacamelee. It's basically like a 2D side-scrolling platformer slash beat 'em up. I can't really explain what the game is because I barely touched the game, to be honest, but from what I remember, it was a fun game. You have a map, you go around, you gain levels, like you gain different abilities, and you're this like sumo wrestler, like Mexican looking dude, and it's basically the art style of the game, I would say, is just flat out nothing I've ever seen before. It's just in terms of art style, it is an amazing game for that. Overall, I did have fun of what I played. I would definitely check out this game. And the reason it's called Super Turbo Championship Edition is because the game actually comes with DLC, but you get the DLC for free. This isn't an exclusive Nintendo game as well. It is on other platforms, but here you get all the DLCs for $15, so it is one heck of a buy. Now moving back on to my retro games. Here is the list of all my retro games. As you can see, I do own the most of Kirby games because Kirby is amazing and I really do love the Kirby series as a whole. That's why I own most of the Kirby games. Funny enough, I don't own Rainbow Curse or Rainbow Course or whatever it's called on Wii U. That's solely because I don't like it. It's not a traditional Kirby game for Wii U. It's actually like a drawing game or something like that, so I wasn't really interested in picking that game up. I have Kirby Superstar, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, Kirby's Dream Course, and Kirby's Adventure. Now, Kirby's Adventure and Kirby's Dreamland are both the same game. It's just that Kirby's Dreamland is a remake of Kirby's Adventure. It's got color to the game, which wasn't in the original, and basically it's just a better version of Kirby's Adventure, but they're exactly the same game. But of course, me being a collector or me being a fan of Kirby, I had to own like all the Kirby games, or most of the Kirby games. And then I would say out of this whole thing, my favorite Kirby game is Kirby Superstar. They're like little mini games, and it does make a full adventure, and the game is about 6-7 hours long or whatever, or 3 hours long or 4, whatever it is, but it's still a very fun game. And that game can be played co-op even on the Wii U, so it's nice if you have friends around and stuff like that. You can play Kirby Superstar. And Kirby's Dream Course, before I move on, I will say I didn't really get into. It's kind of like a golf game with Kirby, where Kirby rolls in the ball and you gotta try to get him into a hole. It's kind of like golf, but Kirby style. Then you got Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, Super Mario Bros. 3 is an amazing game, but it's not my favorite out of the whole Mario trilogy, or the old Mario games. I will say I did like it, but it's not my favorite, but it's still a game to definitely own. And then Super Mario World, of course. Super Mario World I would put over Super Mario Bros. 3 just because I like the art style, I like the music, the graphics. I just like it a little bit better than Super Mario Bros. 3. I would honestly say my two favorite retro Mario games are the first Mario and Super Mario World. I'd put Mario Bros. 3 and Mario Bros. 2 a little bit lower on the list, but nonetheless, those are both really fun games. Then you have Earthbound. What Earthbound is, it's an RPG with a kid named Ness. Ness is in Super Smash Brothers. I did put about 15 hours into the game. It is kind of a different RPG, so don't go in expecting what you're expecting. Expect something a little bit different, because the battle system is basically like Pokemon. It is a turn-based RPG, but the enemies you fight and the music in the game is just wacky and weird. It's kind of a modern RPG, kind of like a, I think it's based in the West, actually. As you can see, it's not a JRPG. I think it's based in the West, and Earthbound is a series, but I do like Earthbound. And then Excite Bike is just a bike racing game, an old style bike racing game. There's not a lot to it, but it is a fun game. And if you played Mario Kart 8, then you'll know they actually added an Excite Bike track to the game, which is very awesome. And then you got Super Mario Kart. Now, Super Mario Kart is actually my least favorite Mario Kart game in the whole entire series, solely because the graphics, if you've ever played Super Mario Kart, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But the graphics in the game kind of make your eyes hurt, to be honest. And not only do the graphics kind of make your eyes hurt, at least for me, I feel like it also has bad turning on the cars. Like when you turn, it's kind of clunky. It's kind of hard to turn. You really gotta get used to turning in the game. It's not a bad game or anything, but I would definitely rank it one of the lowest rated Mario Karts in the series for me. I wish that Mario Kart 64 was on the virtual console, but unfortunately they didn't port Super Mario Kart or Mario Kart 64 to the Wii U, so I unfortunately had to buy a Super Mario Kart, but it's not a bad game on its own right. Now, this is not my finalized though Wii U all the games that basically I want on Wii U. There are some other games I would like to own on the Wii U. Some of the other games I'm going to talk about are games I want on the Wii U that I don't currently own. Some of the games I want on my Wii U are going to be Super Mario Maker, obviously, because I do love Mario games. And Super Mario Maker is awesome just because you basically get unlimited Mario levels and you can make your own levels, and it's just a very, very fun game. Another game I wish I owned on Wii U is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That's a platformer, and Donkey Kong games I have played in the past, like Donkey Kong Return to Donkey Kong or whatever on Wii. I can't remember the name. And then the other game I want on Wii U would be Yoshi Woolly World. That's another platformer which looks very fun. And then the last game I would want on Wii U to complete my collection would be Toad's Treasure Tracker or whatever it's called, because that game is just fun. Since I do play Super Mario 3D World, and you do know that Toad's Treasure Tracker levels or Captain Toad levels are in Super Mario 3D World, and they are fun to play. So those are just some of the games that I'm hoping to get in the next year to 2 years that I'll have on my collection. And anyway, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out.